I'm here at the Women's Global Leadership Summit, and we're going to talk with JD Messenger about how his broken neck helped him overcome limitations and become an inspiration to millions of people around the world.
You're kidding me, right?
No, absolutely
somebody
not.
who's this guy?
You broke
his
your
neck.
Yes.
And this is a good story?
And this is a great story. So I'm Kimberly Ellison Taylor. I am the chairman of the board for the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. And this is JD Messenger.
And we were just having an argument about who is shorter. So just let you know, short people, power to short people, right?
Yes. But you know what was even more powerful, JD? You did a session just only a couple of minutes ago, it concluded, about something that was traumatic and tragic.
Right.
And sometimes when bad things happen,
right,
we don't want to get out of the bed.
Well,
we don't want to move on. So how did you do that?
Well, I went kicking and screaming, right? But it absolutely is true. And people ask me this all the time. Do I have to have some terrible experience to sort of regain my power, regain my passion, get my mojo back, fulfill my life purpose and live a happy, balanced, integrated life? That's what we all want. We all want to be happy, abundant, loved and feel worthy. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't. And so do you have to have the terrible event? Well, the answer is no, you don't. Unfortunately, about 80%, I think, do. And so then one lady said, well, why do we do that? And the answer is because we have to shatter our ego. The ego, we all have an ego, and we need an ego. But when the ego has taken over control of the switchboard, I'm a nuclear submarine officer, I talk in these fire control system terms, When the ego has taken control of the switchboard, it wants power and control and lust and greed, and it doesn't have heart, compassion, generosity. And so what happens is we become incongruent. We want to be congruent. We want to have our head saying go this way and our heart and soul saying go this way. And what happens to most of us, it happened to me, unconsciously over time, your head starts to say, I want you to go right. Take the job with a bigger promotion. Take the job with more power. Follow the cute, sexy girl instead of the old wife, or whatever it might be. Crazy.
We're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that. But what you want, I mean, that's you can't ignore, there are these financial drivers, sensual drivers, and things like that. Those are the things that pull you one way, and then the heart says, no, I love her, or I want to be happy, I want to be balanced,
but
and then you get torn in half, and that's when the crisis happens.
But when you had the incident,
right?
And I think that's what our viewers want to know.
They
want to know that I had something bad happen to me. I lost my job, or something tragic happened in my life. For instance, I lost my mom last year. Sometimes, I appreciate that, but sometimes it's easy to have, thoughts of how am I going to get past this? How did you get past having a broken neck? And when we think of that, it's like the most horrible thing many of us could imagine.
Well, I was in denial when it happened. I mean, I knew my neck was hurting and I wasn't getting treatment. And then it finally just broke, right? And it deteriorated from an old accident, which they can listen to the story on my website. The way you get, first of all, it took me 30 days to learn how to walk and talk again, and it took me 6 months to physically completely recover. So I was out of the physical pain and recovery in 6 months, but I suffered for years. And the reason so suffering is mental, and it's a very important, we say we're in pain all the time. We don't mean we're in pain. What we mean is we are mentally suffering about an issue. And so suffering is optional. Suffering is based on a belief that we have inside, and these beliefs, which I call flops, a faulty, limited, outdated program, is actually the source of suffering. The belief that I can't do what I want to do, or I can't be happy. And so what happens is our heart tries to pull us one way and our head the other. And so when we're confused, then you know you're suffering. When you're confused. And so when you're confused, then you got to say to yourself, well, what am I confused? What is the issue that I am mentally fighting about inside?
So how do we get into alignment?
So, well, you got to then identify your thoughts. You know, you randomly, you document, every 30 minutes or, 10 times a day, just what am I thinking about? What am I saying? Don't judge it. Don't evaluate it. Just write down what your thoughts are.
So let me give you a scenario. So we talked about this earlier in one of the sessions. So let's say if I was an introvert and I, for whatever reason, didn't talk about my abilities. I knew that there was going to be a new position that was going to be out and available, but I didn't talk about it to my manager. They didn't think I was interested. So now I have a limitation. Maybe it's that I didn't speak up, or maybe it's that they didn't perceive me in a way that would have been positive for this new opportunity.
Right.
I didn't get the job.
Okay, so
now what happens?
All right, so
what do I do to overcome that so that it doesn't happen again?
Well, okay, so this is a great, very sort of mundane example, and
Yes.
I could give you another example of a CPA who doesn't believe that he can do the work he loves and be a CPA. He has a limiting thought that I'm a CPA and I got to do this business and it's got to be boring and ugly. I can't be a CPA and do things that are uplifting and, right? See, he's got a limiting thought. So the first thing with this person he has to realize is they had a thought. Now they can label themselves an introvert. Okay, they labeled themselves. I'm an introvert. That means I don't speak. You see, they immediately put themselves in a box, a label.
So then should we not do those personality assessments?
Well, you can do those, but I will tell you that all of those Myers-Briggs type indicators, all those, they're all limiting. Okay, I am 0 on Myers-Briggs on introvert and extrovert. Now, you've heard me speak many times. Do I sound like a 0? No, I am extremely extrovert when I'm doing public speaking and coaching or whatever, but I am also extremely introvert when I am doing my sensing and personal meditation or evaluation, right? So all of these assessments are useful, but they're not complete. So as soon as this lady who didn't get the job says to herself, she justifies it in this illustration by saying, oh, I'm an introvert, and so I didn't get the job because I don't speak out. But really, you got to go back to, why are you an introvert? When were you punished or rejected for speaking your truth, for standing up for yourself? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I see.
It's much deeper than that.
So basically, to your point, you're saying she learned, in this example, to have limitations.
Right.
And because we sometimes put ourselves in those categories are limiting.
We do it all the time.
We do it all the time.
Let me just, not to get too dramatic, but Republican, Democrat, Christian, Muslim, man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, smart, graduate, non-graduate. I mean, we exist in a world of boxes. And if you can evaluate the boxes you've put yourself in, you listen to your thoughts, you document your thoughts, look at the patterns on what it is. Step 2, we didn't get to, that was step 1. Step 2 is look at those thoughts where did those thoughts come from? Do you really accept or believe that thought? Who put that thought there? Who put that label on you? Some of them are internal limitations.
That's what I want to know.
Some of them are external limitations. Okay. Society around the world for thousands of years has limited women. Right? We have suppressed women as not being equal or powerful. That's a socially constraining, limiting thought. Now, when you think about the powerful women who have overcome it, what have they done? They found the courage and confidence to take the risk and go out and do something. You see? So they shattered the box. We say shattering the glass ceiling, but there's a lot of boxes we've put on ourselves. And you can identify the box with a label.
It's interesting as you talk through those different things, because we talk about attitude. And I think I grew up with my parents saying attitude helps determine altitude. I think it's true, because it sounds like if you believe you can do it, you can do it. And if you believe you can't do it, then you can't. And I know when I've had the opportunity to help mentor people through whether they were taking an exam or professional credentials, if they were not mentally in a space that says that next promotion could be mine, the next opportunity to be the CFO, the controller, the managing partner could be mine.
Absolutely.
The next chairman of the board,
right.
It could be me.
Right.
And so even as you talk through the tragedy that you had with, breaking your neck, it sounds like the whole time you were thinking, I can overcome this. I can do it. And so we have at the association the Human Intelligence Series, and we're going to be having topics and webcasts and discussions around this area because, when you think about the different facets of what would motivate people, I think it's a compelling thought of the things that you've just mentioned. But what tips would you give other people?
Well, I used to be much taller before I broke my neck, right? So now I have to live
I'm glad we can laugh about it.
Being short.
Right? Well, I'm glad we can joke about something this very serious.
There's two games in life. And this is no matter who you are and what you're doing. There's the inner game and the outer game. Now, the outer game is your job, your family. It's this physical stuff we see and touch and things we buy. And 80% of your success and happiness comes from the outer game, but 80% of your fulfillment comes from the inner game. Your ability to achieve the outer game is all inside. So what you believe is what you become. Your thoughts create your reality. Henry Ford said, if you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Gandhi said your thoughts become your beliefs become your words become your behaviors, and your behaviors become your destiny. So this is what we're talking. So the tapes, what we psychologists call them tapes, right? So it begins with, we've got these constructs, and the constructs create a box, and when we put ourselves in a box, we create a label, and then the label is something we internalize and accept. Now, when I broke my neck, I shattered my definition of existence, and it was it wasn't a midlife crisis, it was a complete existential crisis. Because if I had this vast spiritual experience, it made me call into question everything. Who am I? What do I believe in? And I shattered these labels. But I'll go back and say, you might have heard in my talk about Admiral Rickover. It's a speech on my YouTube channel if they want to hear it. But basically, Admiral Rickover, during the interview to be a nuclear submarine officer, he said that I wasn't good enough to be a submarine officer for him. And I said, excuse me, Admiral, but you're wrong. And he said, what did you say? And I said, I'll be a submarine officer, and I'll be one of the best damn submarine officers you ever had. Well, of course, the story is that didn't go over too well. He slammed his fist on the table and threw me out. And he accepted me. And the reason he did this, it was a behavioral-based interview. When he said, oh, you're not good enough to be in my Navy, I didn't go, oh, you're right, Admiral, I'm, stupid me, I'm not good enough to, why did I think I could be a submarine officer? No, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I believed that I was going to do it, and I told the guy who was going to give me the job that I was good enough to do it. And he loved it.
Well, thank you, JD, for that, because I think the message that we want our viewers and certainly the attendees of this conference to realize from attending your session, and hopefully the replay will be available for those who missed it, is to have confidence in ourselves, to be bold, to be brave, to think, and as my CEO at Oracle would say, to not just think outside the box, don't see the box.
That's exactly right.
And it sounds like if we could do those tips, that we could have amazing success and we could define our own career path.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Let's take the box and get very more business focused and practical. The box could be the way you define your supply chain. The box could be the way you do branding or marketing. The box could be the people you think that is on the team. The box could be the time you think it takes, the location where it is. The box, we put boxes in. And so the secret to success in your career, into your company, into your products, is identifying the boundaries of the box which are artificial, they're invisible. You created the boundary of that box. Look at, take the iPhone. Jobs said, I'm going to take this phone and I'm going to add a calendar and I'm going to add, that's a linear, what we're talking about are linear innovations, right? Not a radical innovation. 98%, 99% of all innovations are linear innovation, where you took the thing that previously existed and you tweaked it to add new value in a new way. So that's what you can do in your company. That's what you do with yourself as an individual. So these human skills that you're teaching, they are the absolute most important element to success.
I can tell you we're excited about this series.
Yeah, good for you.
Human Intelligence. Please stay tuned. And we look forward to seeing you on some of our future webcasts. Thank you, JD.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I loved it.